My presentation is blow-wedding relationship between with fate and free will, right? So let's do like an overview of my presentation. So firstly, I'm gonna define what fate and free will is and how they portrayed in the play, but I'm not going to focus on actual definitions too much. I'm going to focus on Lorca's interpretation of fate and free will, because there are like many interpretations of fate, whether they're controlled by Illuminatis or whatever. Then I'm going to discuss some symbolisms, how fate and free will presented, like the moon, the horses, and I'm going to discuss if the research was useful for like overall production. So, what is fate? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, fate is the power that causes and controls all life events, and the human being, it cannot change or control those events. So there's like a divine power that controls it. And sometimes fate is also referred to things that are inevitable, like our birth or our death or whatever. So we discussed what fate is, and then let's quickly talk about what free will is. This concept is best explained by a French guy called Sartre. There he is, and he said, a quote, that man is condemned to be free. He is responsible for everything he does, which means that free will is a life power that means that human beings have responsibility and power over their own actions, right? They're born to be free. Okay. Then I was thinking, the Leonardo and the bride, do they have power over their own actions, or they're controlled by some divine power, like someone controls it, like fate or something else? And this question is key in understanding the relationship between fate and free will. So I think yes, they do have free will, in fact. And well, you will ask why? Well, because there is a concept called duende, right? This concept was introduced by Lorca himself during his speech, same year as blow-wedding was shown, and he said that this feeling is earthly, irrational, dangerous power that surges up from the soles of our feet. And this feeling appears in the moments when confronting death itself, like the bride and Leonardo when they're confronted by death, right? They will have this feeling inside them, so it doesn't obey any orders, any divine powers, and this is like a synonym to free will, literally, right? And then in the play itself, this duende thing is represented in many ways. One thing is that Lorca, he deliberately does not explain to us logically why the bride and Leonardo are together. He doesn't give us any explanations at all, because this reinforces duende. It has no like logical explanation. It comes from your like inner nature, human nature, right? And such symbolisms as horse and orange blossom, they also represent passion, desire, nature, which also links to duende, which is this natural force, which is passionate, which is warm, and etc. So what we discussed free will, right? But then what conflicts with free will? What are the powers that kind of limit free will, right? And I was thinking about it, and then I couldn't get an answer, right? And then one of my friends called me and said, it's this. And this man is a French philosopher, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, right? And he replied to me with a quote. And this quote is, "Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains." What this means is that this guy believed that humans have inner freedom, inner free will, right, to anti-link. But then as society develops, it developed laws, rituals, traditions, duties to ignore. They're beneficial, but on the other hand, they also limit individual freedom. And the system represses inner nature, it represses our own actions. It kind of, this is the portrayal of fate in a way that it predestines our abilities, right? It dictates us what's going to happen in our lives by traditions, by laws, etc. Fate. Linking this to the play. Characters. The mother, right? She herself has very strict traditional views, but in the play, in my opinion, she just believes in those traditions because she was born in them, because that's the only way she knows how to live in the society that's filled with the traditions. So the quote, "A man is shall and for us a wall that's 2 feet thick," that's her worldview. She's also anxious of fate and murder. This kind of means more about cycles of death, but also about how she perceives that because of traditions like blood feuds, all of her generation is gonna die, everyone's gonna kill each other, and she's fearful of that, right? And this fear that she has, she puts it on the bridegroom, and then the bridegroom goes to kill Leonardo because it's like a blood feud, and there's all this tradition and fate that predestines free will stuff, it all links, right? But then after the bridegroom's death, she says that I'll sleep and not be afraid. Wait, can I? I'll sleep and not be afraid of a gun or a knife, which means that she has this relief from the traditions of blood feud, relief from her life, so she can kind of no worry about that, right? Well, let's discuss the moon. The moon generally represents death, fate, and inevitability. But also it represents nature and cycles. And the key thing here is cycles, in my opinion, and this topic here can be discussed through ancient Greeks, right? This is a knife, by the way. So the ancient Greeks, Plato and Aristotle, they believed that human social and like humans in general, they are constantly in a cycle that revolves. That societies, they revolve around the cycle, and the play itself states that violence is inherent in human nature. This is like this cycle of violence, right? That is goes throughout the history of humanity. And this violence causes blood feuds, this natural thing causes blood feuds, and they keep going and going. So, well, what's the relationship between fate and free will? In conclusion, well, Lorca focuses on portraying fate and free will through social lens specifically. So fate, as I said, it's not more of a divine power, but more of a social chains, as the French philosopher said, that kind of limit and predestine our abilities. And this links with Lorca's overall position of advocating social change in Spain, right? And fate represents like artificial laws, inequality, honor codes, predestines, and Spain, especially in 1920s, was very kind of traditional, very it required change to develop everything, right? And Lorca advocated for this. And this is where the conflict between fate as a social construct and free will as something natural comes in. How is that useful? For me, I think it's going to be useful in terms of distinguishing patterns. So I know that we have fate and we have free will, and then I'm going to probably display those ideas through colors, like in general maybe that free will is more represented with warm colors like duality is passion, it's something dynamic, right? But for the actors, in my personal opinion, I think it's kind of interesting to explore duality and its force in acting because it also links to Mathilde, who said play the game, which is kind of like not using your brain but more of your feelings and etc. Right? And it's kind of interesting for me, I think. I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Any questions before we go on? Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.